to another episode of The Little Radio Show. My name is Sandra Fernandez, and I'm joined by my co-hosts Juan Alanis and Angelica Casares, and we're bringing you small talk about big topics. This week's episode is a conversation about the upcoming USA Network show, Queen of the South, that actually ends up being a conversation about Latinos in entertainment and our particular opinions about that. Just a reminder that you can catch us every week on Thursdays at 2 p.m. Central Time on hmsnetradio.org. Our show archives and the link to our iTunes and Stitcher channels are available at thelittleradioshow.com. Most new listeners of this show found out about it through a friend or a blog post. If you're someone who has told someone else about The Little Radio Show, thank you so much. Really, it means a lot to us. Keep telling your friends, and if you happen to write something about the show, send us a link or tag us somehow so we can share it. In a previous episode, we talked about how great the experience at Hispanicize was for the three of us. And so one of the things that I did get a chance to do was I got to attend an advance preview and a Q&A with the actors and actresses from the new USA show, Queen of the South. Now, if you don't know anything about Queen of the South, it's an upcoming U.S. TV drama series. I believe that the first season is expected to be 13 episodes, but it is an adaptation of La Reina del Sur.
Woohoo, I love that novela. That was my favorite novela of all time.
Okay, going back, it's an adaptation of the book La Reina del Sur, the Queen of the South, which is the book upon which the record-setting novela La Reina del Sur, starring Kate del Castillo, was also based. Mm-hmm. Now we were all asked to please don't spoil what actually happens in the pilot until it airs in the summer. So I'm not going to spoil what happens in the pilot.
You're
until
sworn
it airs.
to secrecy.
Well, nobody swore me to anything. What I can say is that I believe the series premiere is June 21st. It's on USA Network, which is cable, which is good. And USA usually has a good track record of doing these nice action shows with a lot of drama.
Okay.
For those of you who are at all interested, the Teresa Mendoza is being played by a Brazilian actress, Alice Braga, who many of us might know because I think she's the niece of Sonia Braga.
Yes, she is.
Yes.
She is. I was going to say that.
Who's Sonia Braga?
Oh my God, that's so wrong. There are levels of wrong with that.
She's like a huge actress, but you remember there was one. I'm going to use a reference that Angelica will identify,
which is helpful.
Which is Sex in the City, where she was the lover of the girl with the blonde hair, with the short hair, the older girl.
You said a lot of something I don't understand.
Yeah.
Did you watch Sex in the City?
I watch all the Sex in the City, but he says she's a lover of the girl with the long hair.
Amanda.
I don't know. There's
What's
a lot of lovers in that.
Name? Amanda, right?
No, you're thinking. Hold on. Oh, of course. And now my brain went completely blocked.
See, the thing is, I don't know the characters'
PR
names.
girl. The PR girl.
Okay.
You know, there's 2 or 3 episodes where she gets involved with a female Latina artist.
Oh,
That's
the Hispanic lady, and she's like very aggressive.
Well, she's a Brazilian actress.
She's a Brazilian actress.
Okay.
And,
okay.
I don't believe she's done anything big recently, but like in the 70s and 80s,
her voice is so noted. Her voice is, I think, does it for her.
A lot of
I've seen some of her
films.
stuff.
Back in the day, she did a lot of films. She's a Brazilian actress. So Alice Braga is her daughter. Her niece. Her niece.
Okay.
Alice Braga has played in some different stuff, but most people will remember her from. She comes on like the last 1/3 of the Will Smith adaptation of I Am Legend. Where she's the scientist who escapes with the little boy at the end. Okay. And that's probably the biggest thing that I have ever seen her in. You know, there's other stuff that she's been in that I cannot tell you off the top of my head.
Well, she's very beautiful. She's her looks
beautiful.
from Sonia Braga.
She's very pretty, but I don't know. I hardly remember her from that movie.
She's new. She's up and coming.
Okay. Yeah.
Going on to the other people, Justina Machado. Do you know Justina Machado?
No, but you know what? I am going to start Googling these people because I am so unfamiliar.
She came on 6 Feet Under as Vanessa Diaz.
Actually, she came out on a lot of the Latino-based, like even series and stuff.
And she does a lot of
cameos everywhere.
She does a lot of cameos. So okay. Having done that, Juan and I have been having this conversation about how I've had La Reina del Sur queued in Netflix forever because I never saw it when it ran. I never saw it when it reran.
Tisk.
I know. It's been cute. So I'm like, okay, I have to go watch this. And so I streamed it over a period of several weeks while I was working just to get it out of my system. I'm in the middle of reading the book upon which all of this is based, and it's
legend.
Yes, well, it's very different than what I expected it to be. The book is more almost like it's a combination of first person reporting from the person who wrote the book and like first person from her perspective as things are happening to her. And it fast forwards a lot. Like there's a bunch of detail that just sort of is glossed over. Yes, it's just sort of glossed over.
But what did you think about the novella?
Well, the novella was not quite what I was expecting based upon the reaction to it. And I'm a very tough sell.
So did you not like it? Did you?
I didn't like it as much as everybody else did.
You didn't?
She did an okay job. Really, really, she did. She did an okay job with what she was given.
I am questioning a lot of your take on a lot of movies now based on this review here.
I know. And I thought about it. I'm like, oh my God, I am this is the thing that cements it. I am just impossible to please, apparently.
She is no Obi Kenobi, okay? I understand that.
When comparing it to other novellas, I see why. I see why it got all the kudos that it did. But, like, the production value of the novella and other stuff, when you compare it to, for example, what was the thing that we just watched? The soccer club one that Netflix did?
Narcos.
No,
it wasn't Narcos. It was Club de Cuervos.
Yeah, Club de Cuervos. When you compare the production value to like Club de Cuervos, I'm sorry, it's not the same.
No, it's
level.
not. But that came after.
I know,
and that's
why I'm saying
set the standard.
So I'm having to adjust my brain to the fact that this was actually very revolutionary, considering who created it and at what time. Because it's been years at this point since this came out.
Because you remember, like at that point when they created La Reina del Sur, it was really the first original
of its kind,
telenovela that had been produced by a network that was in the U.S. and that's invested that amount of money in producing something that was original, that wasn't, the regular story that everybody always did, which was the girl falls in love with the boy and whatever it was. It was a much more. She was an anti-protagonist that everybody was like, whoa, she's a kind of a bad girl,
Truthfully,
no, she was.
Yeah, she was. She was. They call him an anti-hero.
Yeah,
she was an anti-hero.
And after that, like all the novellas, if you notice, like there have been so many novellas that have been all about narcos and different characters.
Not so much narcos, but that theory, that anti, where you love to hate the protagonist,
or they're not good people.
Yeah, or you love to hate them. You love them so much that they're so bad, and you're like, can't I relate? Why do I like them? Yeah.
The first time I had, we had my brother-in-law sit down with us and watch The Godfather, the original first Godfather, and he's like, he's a criminal. Yes. So he's the main guy. Yes. He's like, but he's a criminal. I know. I understand that part, that he's a criminal. We've all accepted. He's not a nice. The intent of The Godfather is you watch as he goes from being the guy that's protected to the guy that's actually, he turns into his father. So it's his rise. So it's very much. He doesn't want, he's intent. He is not going to become this. Like in Teresa Mendoza in La Reina del Sur, it's all like, oh, no. As she's getting involved with the second guy, she's like, no, I don't want to get involved with you. You're the same kind of, I've done this before. This is absolutely not going to happen. In the book, none of that existed. In the book, it's very clear that it was her idea, that she was very much the person who went and did the favors for the guards and the other people in exchange for them helping out her boyfriend.
So
in the book.
That is in the book. In the book, it's upon which all of this is. There's no crisis of conscience. There's no, oh my God, I didn't want to do this. There's no, oh, they had to put me in jail before I would do this. No, she was in the book. She is very, very, what's the word I'm looking for? She is very practical in the book. You watch the novella, there's a lot of, oh my God, I don't want to do that. Mm-hmm. The novella is all the soul searching and all the, oh my God, and whatever. The book is not. The book does not dwell upon the, oh my God, what have I done? The book dwells upon, I did it. So before we get stopped on all of this stuff, let me take this back a little to the actual, I got to go see the pilot for this, for the USA episode, for the pilot episode for the show. And there are some similarities that you can tell that it's you know, a lot of it is the same, and I don't want to spoil too much of it for those who have never seen La Reina del Sur.
We're talking about Queen of the South.
Queen of the South.
That comes out on USA.
So if you've never seen La Reina del Sur, you don't know anything about Teresa Mendoza, you haven't read the book, what this basically is, and I'm sorry, this is something you can find anywhere, so this part of it is going to be spoiled. Get over it. Teresa Mendoza is a girlfriend of a drug trafficker. You know, her boyfriend, she gets a call that he's been killed, and she's got to run for her life. And so what happens is, as a result of the sequence of events that happens, because her life is now in peril, and she does have to run, she actually rises to become the head of her own drug trafficking ring. Now, in the USA Network, they're saying that this is not going to be exactly the same as La Reina del Sur. It's going to be a little different because it's supposed to be more closely based on the book. That may be so. What I can tell you is I've read synopsis in other websites like Deadline.com and, you know, other things like that. And what they say is she comes to the U.S. to become a drug trafficker in the U.S. Well, that's not, you know, the Teresa Mendoza story. Teresa Mendoza, she was La Reina del Sur, Queen of the South, because she was the head of the drug trafficking cartel in the south of Spain. That wasn't America at all.
It's just, it has nothing to do with her, like, being, like, in Latin America?
No. Mm-mm.
So it's just south of Spain.
South of Spain, yeah. Mm-hmm. And actually, she was named La Reina del Sur, I want to say, by a journalist or by the media or something like that. And it's there's this dichotomy because the same newspaper that, like, in one section of it would be reporting that her cartel was doing these bad, awful things. In another section would be reporting that she was the best dressed woman in Spain, that she was hobnobbing with celebrities and elite and nobility, that she was one of the who's who of society. At the same time as they were reporting that, you know, her cartel was doing all of these awful things.
I was under the impression that she was kind of just a ghost. People kind of like a legend side, sort of, but people might have sort of heard of, kind of stories type of thing. I didn't know it was actual, like, there was a face to the person.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know how much the media knew that she was the one who was in charge of these things at the time when they were happening.
I see.
But you know, if you go through, and we know because we're very tuned into this kind of thing, the heads of these kinds of cartels are celebrities.
It's
very much so. I mean, for the most part, yes. That's the who's who of this kind of stuff. Usually, it's an open secret.
It's an open secret?
Yes. But it looks like it's going to be very interesting for mainstream this is going to be their first foray into narco-novela.
Something besides El Chapo.
Yeah, into narco-cultura. The reality is, this is no different than any show out there about the mob. What's it, that one on HBO, oh Lord, now I'm not going to remember. The Sopranos.
The Sopranos.
He's a mob boss. kill people, get people killed, etc. They were not nice people, and people tuned in by the hundreds of thousands to this show. It's no different than that. But, like, for example, I heard, and I'm going to have to look this up, that narco corridos in Mexico are now banned. Like they're like they're illegal or something. They can't because they don't want to perpetuate narcocultura.
Well, I know that they're looked at negatively, much more negatively than they were before, because now because of the situation in Mexico, the people are much more aware, and they're much more, not as supportive as they were before of that type of music. But what I find kind of interesting is the fact that that U.S. network is taking that leap to, bring in that adaptation of a book and a telenovela that really was.
Well, whether it's an adaptation from the book or another novella, I like the fact that they're bringing in that they want to, they're bringing in a different scenario, a different storyline, different person. Now, is that the selection that I would have picked? Probably not, but I'm happy they're paying attention.
Well, none of us would have picked, Devious Maids. Look at all of the bad feedback and the flack that they got on that. Oh my God, so it can only be maids. Oh, they've got to be devious. They can't be. No, I mean, the reality is that you start with the crap. You start with the crap and you move your way up. And that's, African Americans in entertainment. Look at what's his name, Tyler Perry. Tyler Perry, if you look at some of his earlier stuff, I mean, dear Lord. Talk about scraping the barrel. That was scraping the barrel when it comes to content. And now, some of the stuff that he does, he really is showing culturally relevant personalities, characters, and even playing them himself, but he had to work his way up that cultural ladder.
But the thing is that La Reina del Sur wasn't the bottom of the barrel, because it went on to be a mega hit. It went to be a mega hit, not only in the U.S., but also they took it to different countries, and it was very successful.
Yeah. I think we're talking about the fact that it was narco life type of thing, and that's what I was referring to. That is that the selection of highlight that I would have done that relates to my culture? Probably not, but I'm happy they're paying attention. Now, we are okay with it when we see it on Spanish channels being spoken, because there's other stuff on there that we have the selection from, and we chose to watch that because we picked it, and we picked it because of the production value, and we picked it because of the actress, and the actress wasn't overacting, and I absolutely love the actress. I absolutely love the production, and that's the only reason I read.
There was no amnesia. There was no evil twin. There was no brought back from the life. There was none of that. None of those typical, high flung novela.
On the same note, we are watching another novela called Los Secretos, or Secretos from El Hotel or something like that.
El Hotel de los Secretos.
Yeah, and that production value is very, very good.
Really?
But that's also an adaptation. It was actually a Spanish telenovela that Televisa and Univision adapted for a Mexican audience and for a U.S. audience.
But I absolutely, but because of the production, not because of the narco whatever. And that's where I want to.
And I've seen the Spanish one, by the way.
El Hotel de los Secretos?
Yes.
I imagine it's much better, but,
all right, that switch off, you got to tell me what happens. I hate it when people watch stuff before me and they don't tell me
the thing is that I think that, one of the things that La Reina del Sur, the novela that was on Telemundo, what it did is that to me, personally, I think that the characters were one-dimensional before that. And yes. I don't know that it was specifically, I don't want to give it that much, say that it was La Reina del Sur that changed everything, but, slowly you've seen that characters are much more...
That was the turning point.
Complicated.
But they're much more three-dimensional. And so... Good. Even in this Hotel de los Secretos that we're watching, I mean, like, you're like, oh, the mom is so mean, and then the mom is like, you feel for her, and you're like, oh, I understand where she's coming from, and it's that, like, well-rounded character...
That get to be bad.
That gets you, that hooks you. So I'm hoping... that part of that for this show on what is it, USA Network, that they will kind of have that same quality and richness of the characters.
I told Sandra, I hope I don't kick myself in the boot afterwards, but I told Sandra that I watched just the previews of it, and I wasn't very impressed.
What? Queen of the South?
Queen of the South. I wasn't very
and there's
impressed.
some things in there that I'm going to tell you, and again, I'm a very, very hard person to please. There's some things in there I'm like, ugh. But they do a much better job of giving you a little bit of the backstory than
Are you
La Reina del
fishing
Sur
to like
did.
it?
No, I want it to be a success because I know that the more shows with Latino characters that are a success, the more of them that will get financed. So it doesn't matter if we like it or not. I want the Jennifer Lopez show to be redone for 5-6 seasons because I don't like Jennifer Lopez personally, but I want it to be a success.
Well, I don't know her. I don't know her personally.
I want America Ferrera to have a nice 7-year run.
And I agree. And I completely agree. But sometimes I think we're missing that mark. And what I'm talking about in forms of a Queen of the South, I think we're missing that mark sometimes is, yes, I want Jennifer Lopez thing to succeed for this reason. And then I think to myself, is that really, or do we need quality things so we can succeed in the general market? And that's what I'm looking for, because even when we went back to watch Selena, and we watched it this weekend actually, and I thought to myself, you know what? Like, I cannot get with her. She's an awesome singer. I love her dancing, but I cannot get with her in terms of her acting. Do we need to keep putting these people in acting atmospheres and not give the other ones a chance that I do believe can make that difference and can make that cultural change to where we have general market watching the Hispanic market?
But are they going to be a box office success?
Yes.
That's the question.
But we're not getting, I don't think we're getting allowed that opportunity.
I think if you put a Gina Rodriguez in a movie and you put a Jennifer Lopez in a movie, it's obvious who's going to make more money. I mean, that's just a fact because, one of them has more star power than the other.
Let's see. Ugly Betty, played by America Ferrera. Beautiful actor. Beautiful.
That's a show. I'm talking about a movie.
But it was an adaptation from a Hispanic
telenovela.
A Hispanic telenovela that did very well in the general market because of the way they did it. But because of the production, because of the acting, because of the way
we're talking about bringing having Latinos in different roles. So like people that are up and coming, they can't be in the same, or not that they can't, but they're not going to draw as much attention as a Jennifer Lopez who's on a show. They're not going to draw that much attention. No.
Again, I go back to America Ferrera, who Ugly Betty did phenomenal, and I think I'm going to say this on
that? It was Salma Hayek.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying, though, because it was awesome. And should we have to keep putting those out there because the narco-tráfico thing did a hit on Telemundo, or it made a hit and it made an awesome, and we were all watching it and stuff. And should they do that adaptation again to this? But they forget that we have other things that we watch, and it was the production value that made us watch.
But see, the thing that I come from is I think there's such a lack of entertainment, of Latino shows and Latino actors and Latino entertainment, that there's plenty of space to bring in all these people. So let them bring Queen of the South. Let them bring all these shows.
Yeah. So what I want to see is more roles where it's a person who happens to be Latino, not cast specifically because they, this is a Latino lawyer. No, it's a lawyer who happens to be Latino, and there is a difference.
This is a great example. The Little Radio Show. It's a general market show who just happens to be co-host Latinos. That is what I would love to see. Yes, Sandra, I do very much agree with you.
But I think that was one of the things that was on the latest crop of shows. That was the one thing that stood out the most with America Ferrera show, is that it wasn't originally a character that was Latina. She just happened to be cast, and then it was like, oh, well, she is Latina.
And only maybe 2 episodes in the season, they actually even made that part of the storyline where there was something was happening, and they asked her to do something because she was Latina. That was the only time that you saw it. And it's like, okay.
But I don't think it's because she happened to be Latina. I'm sorry, Sandra, I didn't mean to run you, but I don't think it's because if you remember back to Ugly Betty, a lot of the remember her sister, remember her dad, like there was a lot of cultural reference there.
But that was Ugly Betty.
Yeah, that was a Spanish show though, that was a Latino cast show, like telenovela. That's a Latino cast show. But to me, there's characters out there, that's why I say there's plenty of room for everybody, because there's characters out there like Sofia Vergara's on Modern Family, who's a huge success, and a lot of people hate on that character, but I love her in that role. She's so awesome in that role.
She's so cliche.
But she's hilariously cliche.
I understand, but a lot of people really have this problem with her perpetuating the cliche, the oversexed, overdramatic, incredibly emotional, thick accent. Which, if you've ever seen her, when she started out, she was a blonde blonde. Have you ever seen her play anything when she was a blonde?
No.
Oh my God, she looks so different.
What was it? Lente Loco or?
Oh, that was when she was in Univision.
No, there's a couple of movies where I've seen her where she was still a blonde.
Well, she came out doing a lot of small roles. Like that's what she's always done is small roles.
Oh, have you ever seen any of the old stuff, like the interviews and stuff that she did in English before she did this role, where her accent is not as pronounced? Her accent and the dark look was something that was cultivated to get her more roles, because she was not quote unquote Latina enough.
But
I think sometimes a lot of the general market tends to forget the Hispanic sector, that we come in all shapes and literally all shapes, color, hair, eyes.
It's not just that.
But that's where I come in, and I say that the lack of Latino entertainment is so high. You know, there's so little out there that has Latino people and that has Latino characters or whatever, that we really just need to embrace everything that comes out. Because when you look at African American entertainment from 10 years ago,
but that's so easy to say, Juan.
You were seeing shows like The Parkers, like Martin, The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, who really didn't really have any they didn't have any significant characters. They weren't positively showing a lot of the culture. It was just entertainment.
Okay, so I understand that he is persona non grata now, and I absolutely agree with that. But when The Cosby Show and A Different World came out, which was a spinoff from The Cosby Show, it was so amazingly groundbreaking. Here is an African-American middle-class couple. He's a doctor, she's a lawyer. They
have 5 kids.
It was a situation comedy. Mm-hmm. None of them were in jail. There were no little gangsters in there. It was just, and everyone said it couldn't make it. There's no way, there's no way, there's no way. And it got such a cross-cultural audience. It ran for years and years.
Mm-hmm. But look at the graduation of that African-American entertainment. Now the lead characters in the most successful shows, one of them in one of the last episodes, she just killed a guy with a chair, and the other one, they're like a family who's in and out of jail, and they're running, they're like a mogul, and they've killed people. About? I'm talking about Empire. I'm talking about Scandal. Oh, okay. Now they're not necessarily those characters that are they're doing this positive representation.
But that's an adaptation to the culture right now. That's it's referencing to what's happening in the culture because of the music.
Culture as a whole, not African American culture.
Correct. Culture as a whole, in terms of the music and in terms of that stuff.
It's the culture.
But they want that drama back in there, and that's why Empire succeeds, because of the drama. Because people were going too much well and going off well with the reality series, drama had to create that shock, and I think that's why Empire is doing well.
But I'm not disagreeing that it's doing well or not. All I'm saying is that look at the difference. When that Cosby Show came out, it was all about look how progressive the show is. Now the shows aren't progressive. They just happen to be well acted, well cast, they're very good shows that happen to be with African American characters.
It was the same with the Cosby Show, that it was well casted, well produced.
But I'm not denying any of that. I'm just saying that look at the progression.
Yes. So what we need the progression. And what I'm telling you is we're at the beginning right now.
Do you really think? Because I think we've been at that beginning since the 90s. This discussion has become something completely different.
We've been at that beginning since Rita Moreno.
We've been at that thing since the 90s. It's groundbreaking. It's different. Now there's not. It's enough already. Give us production. If you have to create a network, dang it, that's based on Hispanic, get it in the general market. Not in Spanish, in the general market.
So you're talking about English dominant.
English dominant, Hispanic, if that needs to be necessary, then do it.
It's not about, the networks. It's about,
It is. The networks are the ones that are producing it, so it does matter, Juan. Right.
We need more people producing the content. We need more people funding the content. And then when it comes out, by God, buy it.
But look at the last 10 years. What shows have been out there that have been Latino? There have been very few. There have been probably a handful, and that's it. You have to have more than a handful.
And then rolling this back in, Queen of the South will premiere on USA. I want to say June 21st. I'm going to be posting the trailer on the show notes so all y'all can check this out.
Do you know if it's going to come out on Netflix or Hulu?
Oh,
Sure.
you know,
are you sure?
I don't know.
And if that does, we'll keep you up to date. We'll keep you alerted.
But I'm absolutely. We probably will watch it and have this conversation again without the sidetrack skipping along outer field as we did today. However, we'd love to get your reaction on the show when it airs. Thank you for joining us for another episode of The Little Radio Show. We invite you to check out our iTunes and our Stitcher channels and leave us a rating or a review. You can find the link to both channels at thelittleradioshow.com.